Good evening. I am Manali Chakraborty. Welcome to our today's session on behalf of Modak Trainer Academy. Today, topic of discussion is there a common basis for all the religions? A discussion from the viewpoint of a spiritual seeker. The eminent speaker of this topic is Professor Shirsendu Roychowdhury. He is an assistant professor in economics in the Department of Commerce and Business Administration at St. Xavier's College, Kolkata. Apart from his subject, he is deeply interested in spirituality. From very young age, he used to listen lectures of Swami Vivekananda. For a long time, he is associated with Sri Ravi Shankar ji. Now, it's my request to Professor Roychowdhury, please start his discussion.
Thank you so much for the introduction.
Thank you.
Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Surya Koti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kurunideva Sarvakareshu Sarvada Pragyanoti Nirandhasya Gyanan Chana Shalakaya Chakshurumritanyana Pushpasuravi. Good evening to all my respected elders, my friends, my sisters and brothers who have joined this meeting today. At first, I would like to express my gratitude to Modak Trainer Academy for inviting me to speak at this webinar. I am really thankful to Dr. Gargi De, who has introduced me to Modak Training Academy. And I also express my thanks to Professor Shashwati Bagchi of St. Xavier's College, who more than my colleague is like my elder sister, who has introduced me to Dr. Gargi De. And my respectful thanks to each and every one of you present here who have decided to listen to this talk. Thank you. Today, my topic of discussion is that is there a common basis for all religions? Now, why I chose this topic and what motivated me to talk on this, though my subject is economics and I have studied economics previously in 11, 12 science and then economics, but though I am interested in spiritual matters, but what motivated me to talk about this is, you know, that right from our beginning when we are learning, we are taught that, you know, there is always everything that we actually discuss about religion is always with reference to politics, with reference to geography, with reference to climate, suppose any ritual and anything. But I feel that there is something more than that. You know, the development of religion, the consciousness plays a so much important role, and we often tend to forget that we and all the conflicts, religious conflicts, are related to something which is very peripheral about religion, and the common basis is something which is same. And it's my perception that it's my understanding that it's same. And today I will not only give you something, some spiritual perspectives, but also some scientific evidence which through my interest I have studied regarding some scientific discoveries of recent times, which claim that these realizations about religion and these things are not just mere things that our spiritual masters used to say for a long time, but now science is also proving this. So if we have that understanding, you know, our way, the way we see religion should change. and we will focus more from conflicts, with fighting with one another, to understanding what are the common similarities and what is the common base for all religions. For example, you see, like physics, when you talk about physics, you don't have a physics for one country and physics for India, physics for different countries. So, physics as a science, when it's studied in different countries, in different parts of the world, it is only one science, right? It might be translated into Bengali, it might be translated into English, it might be translated into different languages, but that does not mean that the laws would change, right? So, if something that is material has certain laws and that are unchangeable, that are common, then what, then something like when we talk about spiritual laws means the laws that govern our life, the laws that govern our the way we live, the way we interact. Are they not? There is a common platform. Is it that that they have to be different for different countries? They have to be different for different sects. So that is my question. And if we understand that, then we will understand that this basis, which is there, that can be common, but whatever the differences exist, there can be something. The differences we are not going to focus on, but we can understand that what actually is causing the difference. It's not the spiritual values that are at the core, but it is something else. Okay, so if we look at any religion, because the time is short, I cannot go on discussing about different aspects of religions and find the common ground and then give you the scientific evidence. But I can just tell you, I had read a very interesting book. In fact, some parts of the book, it's the name of the book is The World of Religions, by Swami Samarpanananda of Ramakrishna Mission. He used the name Samarpan. So there are many details about religions. Different 8 religions of the world are given. Now, what I mean to say is that if you study, you will see that every religion, if I just simplify, there are two aspects. One aspect is the core values, and another aspect is the ritualistic aspect. Ritualistic aspect means what we do. In some religions, you might find someone placing a candle. In some religions, you might find someone placing a different type of a light, or someone placing an incense stick. In some symbols, in some religion, the symbols might be different. The way we worship might be different. But you will find that the core philosophy of all religions speak of something, like every religion speak about meditation. Every religion speak about prayer. Every religion speak about, say, compassion. Every religion speaks about different whatever, reading the holy scriptures, whatever be their scriptures. And if you see, every founder of religion, they didn't intellectually deduce this. It's not intellectual deduction. They had a realization. What Swami Vivekananda said, that religion is realization. So every religious leader had, something, some experience which they had, like it is coming from something beyond. And similarly, if you look at Nikola Tesla's inventions, he said that he had got it from something beyond. If you look at the poems of Rabindranath Tagore, there was one thing I have read, that something he wrote a poem and then he said that I didn't write it. It just came up. Same with the words of Lord Buddha. Buddha said, I didn't. I just I am not the creator of my religion. I just gave what I saw. So, and if you see Nikola Tesla's inventions, he also said the same thing. He said that I just visualized, I just closed my eyes and suddenly it flashed. Einstein's theory of relativity, I just closed my eyes and the idea came in seconds, he said. Right. And Nikola Tesla could move his inventions and see what it is, and then he used to go to the laboratory and do those experiments. So, if you see that there is a common, you see that from the scientific inventions to religion to to poems, everything. If you see, one is actually the aspect of literature. Another is, literature means I means where your right brain is involved. Yeah, one is when you talk about science, when your left brain is involved, and one which you talk about spirituality, where your both hemispheres are involved. All three are claiming that it is not coming from themselves. Okay, and I will give you some examples. I collected some examples where you will find the same invention. The same invention that is actually, in one country, one person is getting that inspiration, and maybe in another country at the same time another person is also inventing the same thing. There's a paper, I refer to that paper in the course of my of my discussion, where around 148 such instances have been found in the world where the same invention came up in the minds of different people staying totally at different places, and they are not at all aware of what the others are doing, and maybe their continents, in continent one person is and another person is in another continent. So this is actually what this speaks about, that there is something from where this comes, but we don't know that. And if we could understand it, maybe we will think that there is a common base. We can understand that there is a common base. But it is very difficult to find in this material science. But still, the latest scientific discoveries and also some practical demonstrations will make you realize that this is true. That we can previously we have this as an as a thought that it might be real or might not. But now if you see those things, and if you are bound to believe that this is 100% true, we can access to something which is beyond. Okay, so this is the basis. First we will actually, that understanding the basis of religions, what Swami Vivekananda said, that he used the term, even in our shastras the word is there, Abang Manasa Gocharam. Okay, that means what you speak about cannot be expressed, even if it cannot be expressed through words, it cannot be expressed through our actions, or it cannot be expressed through our mind and or speech. So something which you are realizing, that cannot be expressed. So the material science cannot actually demonstrate this totally. It is not possible, because that is so fine that how can an instrument of material origin can capture something which is so fine. So Swami Vivekananda said that the mind should be an instrument to understand this. Okay, now being this said, that I want to talk about something related to this mind and this understanding of spirituality. See, when we talk about these extrasensory perceptions, that something beyond, the problem with that, what comes is that you might see some people claiming that they have visions about the future. They can tell you something what is going to happen and all these things. But later you find that these people sometimes cheating people for money, sometimes saying wrong things. So there is a very nice thing. It's not that they don't have any powers. It's not that they don't have any powers. I'm not saying that, but all of us have seen that sometimes people falling in, a type of ecstasy and predicting something, and they also can claim that they have reached a point which is beyond, actually beyond the sensory perceptions. Now here, uh, in this book called Raj Yoga, Swami Vivekananda has said about a very, very interesting point. He said, he used the words, stumbling into infinity. Stumbling into infinity means that, if you are trained, if you are well trained in spiritual matters, if you train your body and mind accordingly, then you have this, you can get an idea of the supersensory perceptions, and you will not stumble when you reach infinity, or when you have when you grasp something which is beyond the knowledge of your senses. But some people might stumble. I mean, stumble means they somehow reach there. Okay. Maybe it can be because of anything, but it can be, it's in Patanjali Yoga Sutra says that even drugs can cause such things. You take some drugs and you can, for some time, you can reach a state. But that is not a permanent achievement of something uh, which we call as supersensory. Okay, so what happens, that these things should not make us think that the original perception is not there. When we see that people are falling into this, people are not getting to this perception, somehow they are stumbling, somehow they are actually not able to stay in that state. That does not mean the thing is not there. So Swami Vivekananda has made us, he has warned us that that can be a very, very, for a spiritual seeker, it can be like an accident. Accidentally, you reach, and you don't know about it. Like, it's like, you see, for example, suppose you are inside your house. Okay, you are inside your house and you hear some noise in the next room, but you don't know that, like, who has made that noise. Someone in that room staying inside that room, or someone who has made that noise who was actually staying outside that room, maybe from outside. But if you are on the top of a roof and the roof is, very clear like a mirror, you can easily see that someone is outside or someone is inside, and who made that noise, right? Similarly, when our consciousness is elevated from this material plane of this body, the senses, and we reach a point where it is so elevated that we see everything from the top, then we can understand that whether the thought or a vision I am having is coming because of my fears, my desires, or is it something extrasensory. So to understand, that's why, it's always, the spiritual leaders of different religions, always they have told us that first you reach the state. Even, many people try, who actually guide us in spiritual path, you will see that maybe they have practiced for 1 or 2 years and they become spiritual gurus sometimes. But what happens is, actually, unless you reach that state which is described in our scriptures as the state of samadhi, or nirvikalp samadhi or something, then what happens. Suppose a person with a nirvikalp samadhi also is having a vision, and sometimes a normal person is also having a vision. But the normal person is not able to understand that, is it is it something like an hallucination based on my desires, my thoughts, or is it something from beyond? It's coming as a message. And sometimes that is why we actually mislead people, that, sometimes you will see many predictions going wrong because we don't know that whether it is coming from our own mind or something. So the first thing to understand the basis of religions is that, it has to be, first of all, the basis is something, it's not, as people say, that it has a very, the origin is from different countries, different political scenarios, different types of situations that give rise to these religions. I don't believe it is so. I will tell about one or two experience, my personal experiences, why actually I am so confident. When my father passed away, and I was in class 10, after I gave my class 10 exams, and I was very, very depressed. I made a person spiritual, and she used to live in the Himalayas. Okay, and her name is Mata Gyanananda Mohi Mata. She left her body. And very interesting, that when I used to talk with her, uh, she sometimes used to she was not someone who used to meet people, because she used to come in one of her disciples house. Somehow, by God's grace, I got her, I met her, and for many years I was I talked with her, I listened to her experiences, I saw many things in front of my own eyes. And I saw what humility means and what egolessness means in front of my own eyes. And there I was very shocked to listen to some of her experiences. Like, that we talk about some planets, planet Saturn, or planets, different types of planets. We have read in books about planets, we have read about books, in books. But what happened, when she was telling me about about planet Saturn, about planets, different things. I said that, how do you clearly say all these things? Did you read? Because she was actually, what I know, that she was not very educated in modern sense of the word, and she was a housewife, and after a certain time she became a monk. There was very stories. I didn't understand that how she could report about with such precision. And then she told me that when she started her spiritual life, her guru told her that don't read many books, because if you read books you will imagine, and then when you see things, perceive things, you will think it is your own imagination, and that is what you are seeing, so you will not believe them. So first you see, and then if you see something and then you tell me, you write it to me in letters, then I will read it, and I will tell you in which book your realization you can find, and then you match it with what you realized within you, and see that what the Vedas say, then it will be clear. And she said that I received all this knowledge about universe and cosmos with my old self. No one actually told me, talked to me about it. And that was the time when I was reading science in my class 11, 12. So I was a student of science, and actually these were the incidents that actually shook me up. And many things, like, she was in Delhi, I was practicing meditation, I went to my Gurudev and talked. And when she came from Delhi, she told me everything, that I went to my guru, I found my guru, I have practiced their meditation, and I have talked with him. I was very surprised, that I thought maybe someone has called, but later I know no one has called her. So she knew everything. So those things, so she used to tell me that how she understood about different times, like at different times she had different types of knowledge. Sometimes she understood about what Om means. That was also in a meditation flash. Sometimes I had understood about the subtle body and all this. She told me a very wonderful term, I want to say in Bengali. She said যে এই পুরো মহাকাশটা গুরুর কোলে বসে ঘুরবি এবং দেখবি। কেন এইভাবে জানার কি দরকার? আগে গুরু যে সাধন দিয়েছে, সাধন কর, সাধন করে আগে তাকে পাওয়ার পর তার কোলে বসে ঘুরবি, কত শান্তি। আর বললেন যে যখন তার কোলে বসে ঘুরবি তখন কোনো ভয় নেই, পড়ে যাবি না, চিন্তা নেই। That was so much, so much, someone whose father passed away, she, and was so much depressed. That gave me so much confidence about life, about that I can understand about this thing. So that actually, and later when I was reading a book by M.S. Pandit, the name of the book is Spiritual Life. You find this book in Pondicherry Ashram. So there, M.S. Pandit actually had a very nice demonstration of what spiritual life is on a different stages. And there he said, you see, in the East, we philosophy in the West, and philosophy in the East is different. In the East, we call it darshan. Darshan means what you see. In the West, it is logical interpretation of reality. So I have an experience, and I logically deduce from, it can be from general to specific or specific to general. So it can be inductive or deductive logic that we know in logic. So that is taking me somewhere. But here in the East, the notion is very different. Here, what it is that first you realize, you see darshan. Okay, you see something, and then after you see something, now when you come and explain it to others, then what happens? It is that you are explaining something. Now there you need to speak in the language of people, and you have to use logic. So logic is for explaining, not understanding reality. I will understand it, through my own perception. But in order to explain it to people, give it to people, I need logic. And there, the concept of philosophy in the West is that you have to, or I should use the term Orient and Occident. That would be better. That not East West. So that would be that the way you can interpret reality is, one is through logic, a pathway of logic. Another is not through the pathway of logic, but through the pathway of realization. But then you give it as a logic, through the help of logic. And this was very nicely, explained in the book by M.S. Pandit. The full name of the book is Spiritual Life. So once I saw that, and I saw what the mother used to say, that time I actually understood that. Any problem with anything? I hear some sounds actually. Any problem?
No, please continue.
Okay. Thank you. So, um, the thing is that, when I saw that in front of my eyes, and when I read this book, I tried to understand that is, that whatever be the differences, if you see the commonalities between religion, and even now you see the discoveries in science, you see that is, even when the poet says something. So now I have understood, as per my knowledge, that you know uh, you have to accept that there must be something which is not very limited by your senses. Now I will introduce to you, I mean, many of you might be knowing, something which is called Akashic records. I think most of you have heard. The first I will talk about Akashic records, and then I don't know whether it is possible. If possible, I don't know whether those videos could be played. I think it could not be. So I could have shown you certain things that it will be very amazing for you to see that these are now taught practically. Okay, it's very practical, and I was present in the live demonstration, so I have seen it with my own eyes that those are true, and that explains the common base. Maybe this can be the common base which we are thinking of. That's why I put a question mark on my topic, because it appears to me right now that after this, that this can be the common base which I was actually thinking about, or which we might all be thinking about. So let me talk about the Akashic records first, and some of the scientific evidence. Okay, then it will be easy, because now we correlate more with science. So I'll just tell you about what Akashic records are. Akashic records, actually, how I came to know about Akashic records, actually it was after my class 10, when I was in my graduations actually, I was listening to one of the programs in Discovery Channel, and there I found a very interesting fact. It was actually in Discovery Channel. I think I don't know whether you remember that there was a program during that time when we were young, that if there was a criminal activity taken place, how the detectives used to actually they used to detect that this person was a murderer or something. There was a like that, there was a program. And there once, the first time I saw about Akashic records, where there I heard that during that time that there was a incident where there was no circumstantial evidence for a murder, and the Akashic record readers came, you know, and Akashic records reader came, and there were seven people, as far as I remember, who were asked to draw the. They were told about the incident, and they were asked to close their eyes and meditate there, and they were asked to see the records and tell us about the murder. And the seven people drew seven images separately, and all those seven images actually were very, very similar. And when the seven images were very, very similar, they actually thought that the police thought that let us see that whether we can do something. And ultimately, they found a person like that, and ultimately that person was actually convicted. And so that was what incident I heard, and that was the first time after hearing I wanted to know about Akashic records. And then it was another program regarding Mahabharat and India's history, India's spiritual books, and there this was also talking about Akashic records. First, I will talk about Akashic records and the scientific discoveries and many amazing events that can explain these things. First of all, what is Akashic records? That's first. Let us see that when it was first. It was in 1883. There was a book named Esoteric Buddhism. Okay, and this was written by Alfred Percy Sennett. Okay, and in esoteric Buddhism, actually Buddhism talks about nirvana and akasha as existing permanently. So akasha, that it was said that all the universal records physically exist in akasha, and they can be accessed. That was the first time. And then actually it was the theosophist who made it popular. And there I will now talk about some of the discoveries. In Dr. Erwin Laszlo. Okay, he was actually studying about the gravitational force, and he was also studying about electromagnetic waves, and he talked about quantum zero point energy. So quantum zero point energy is very interesting, and it was first talked about by Albert Einstein. Okay, so what is quantum zero point energy? Quantum zero point energy is something that is present, around you. It can be perceived. It cannot be perceived directly, but it can be detected indirectly. Okay, and he actually talked about that human brain is actually a receiver of these quantum waves. Then there was another Nobel laureate physicist. His name was Richard Feynman. Okay, and the name of his book was The Strange Theory of Light and Matter. Okay, and there he talked about electrons in our brains. Please listen to it. That what he says. He says that electrons in our brains can be activated and informed by quantum waves, and that can affect our thoughts and the subconscious. Okay, so this is one theory, that in our brain there can be we can receive there are quantum waves around us, and that quantum waves can actually store information, and our brain's electrons can be activated and informed by those electrons. Okay, now there also he talked about something called quantum entanglement theory. What is quantum entanglement theory? This means that subatomic particles at any distance can affect each other and the information can be sent instantaneously. So even if two subatomic particles are distance apart, subatomic means very in that level. So information can be sent instantaneously. Now you see that human brain can send and receive waves like it's an electrical network, and so it was believed that maybe that human brain can also access information from one part of the universe to another part of the universe instantaneously, or it can receive some signals. So now, before going to some more practical things about it, you see, there was a paper by two Colombian sociologists, William Ogburn and Dorothy Thomas, and there it was in the Journal of Academy of Political Science, and the name of the paper is "Are Inventions Inevitable? A Note on Social Evolution." So here, what he talks about is that there are 148 such inventions, you know, which happened almost at the same time at different places by different individuals who did not know that the other person is working. Like the theory of relativity, was actually given by Einstein. Now, Einstein said that the theory of relativity came to him as in a flash. And there was a French physicist whose name is Poincare. He also talked about it just a few years back before, Einstein did it. Almost the same theory. Then there is a theory of planetary perturbations, which Lagrange developed in 1808 and also Laplace developed in 1808. Discovery of Neptune, Adams in 1845, and also Leverrier in 1845. I took some instances from that paper. Okay. Now there are 140. I cannot give 140. I take three or four. Discovery of sunspots. Galileo 1611. Fabricius 1611. Scanier 1611. Haririat 1611. So 1611, all four people in four parts of the world discovered the same thing at the same time. Effect of tidal fiction on motion of the earth by it was done in Ferrel in 1853 and Delaunay in 1853. So these things make us believe, what Nikola Tesla actually, there's a very nice words. My brain is only a receiver in the universe, and there is a core from which we obtain knowledge, strength, and inspiration. I have not penetrated into the secrets of this core, but I know it exists. Okay. Now, this means that there is a level. So now science, quantum mechanics is also saying that, like, the proponents of Big Bang actually talked about that information class can travel from this universe to another universe if there is a black hole. But what quantum mechanics says that universal information can be stored in one plane and it can be accessed, it can be read. Now you see, if you believe that the universe actually has like you see, for example, our human body has come from one cell. So every cell of the body must have all the information uh, that was present in that one cell. So if the universe is coming from Akasha, if it is as even in Sanskrit, even the Buddhists, even the universe is actually coming up from Akasha and dissolving in Akasha. That means every particle of the universe is actually embedded with the knowledge. And since we are all parts of the universe, so everyone as one of us must have that knowledge within us. Right? So try to understand. So if the, like if I take one cell from my body and take the gene, the that can give me the entire information about my family history. So why not we as individuals who are parts of the universe actually have all the information of the universe within us? And that also quantum mechanics with quantum zero point quantum energy and all these are proving. And if that is true, the knowledge about the existence and our life must be embedded within us. So if it is embedded within us, if it is an akashic record within us, then how do we access it? When we go within, antarmukhi. All religions talk about going inside. No, knowledge is outside. Outside is just a stimulation. And when we go to inside this knowledge, okay, inside, we discover that beyond the mind and the body, there can be a dimension of existence which has a lot to speak, lot to say about us and the life around us. And if we, and it is something, a property of everyone. It is not that I can access, you cannot. Only I know and you don't know. Actually, what two videos I selected now all over the, which I unfortunately I might not be able to. Now all over the world, there's a new trend, in education. It's called mid-brain activation theory. I don't know whether you have heard. It's taught to children. It's in Dubai. It's in all the countries. Okay, I came to know when in my ashram I saw it was taught, and then I in Netaji Indo Stadium there was one demonstration. I went for a meditation retreat that time for a 3 to 4 day retreat, and in the evening there's a demonstration. So I saw in my own eyes. Then I studied. I saw YouTube videos. I saw all over the world there is something called mid-brain activation. What we call the mid-brain activation. It is taught in kids. Why? The kids, they are believed to have a purer mind than us. Why? Because the kids are not complicated, so they perceive the reality as it is, but we actually are structured by our logic to think something that which is very evident as true. We think no. Okay, so when our intellect sometimes, which is an instrument for us to dive deep, sometimes can act as a barrier for us, which we know that it can be good. Our intellect says that, sometimes, which is good sometimes, but sometimes it can actually hamper our progress in understanding truth. So young kids, they are given a 3 day training, 3 days training, and then they are blindfolded. I saw with my own eyes. They give something and they are blindfolded like this. Okay, amazing. If you could have seen the video, then even you could have understood. They are drawing pictures, riding bicycles. When I told my sister also went to see. My sister said that I saw 15 to 20 children. They are actually riding a bicycle with blindfold. They're doing amazing things. In my video, they were playing all the puzzles, they're drawing pictures, and then it was taught to the second video that I was thinking of playing. There it was taught to blind in a blind school. In a blind school, blind children were given this training in Rajasthan. I know, in a blind school, and those blind people who couldn't see, they could now walk without I mean without the physical eyes. They can talk, they can see, they can draw. Still these things have not come up. Why? Because people who teach this, they don't sometimes actually, in this world you find the people who are doing negative things, they are very vocal, and that's why negativity spread faster. But something which is very hopeful, something which is very positive, we don't spread it. We fear, we are very afraid of spreading something positive. I don't know why, and that's why many people don't know it. And but it is so interesting. I have seen it, and that appeared to me that that if these kids, I know one or two of them who were very bad in maths, and one of the boy got his name in Britannia Book of Records in multiplication. He can multiply so fast after learning that. So my Gurudev was saying that this is actually what is called technology of consciousness. We actually teach everyone technology of this world, but this is technology of consciousness. So our technology of consciousness, when you understand the technology of consciousness, then we can understand many things. You know, very interesting facts I will tell you. In India, we had the knowledge of metallurgy long before West knew it, and that's why we could develop rust-free iron without you see that there is in Delhi there is a pole near Qutub Minar, and also in the south where Shankaracharya came, there is a pole in iron rod that has not rusted. We think that it was discovered, the earth was round was discovered by Galileo a few years back, but think about Varaha Avatar. Have you seen Varaha Avatar's picture? A boar with a round world. It's not a square world. It's a round. It was developed so many years ago. That picture in the Vedas was so many years ago with a round earth. Bhugol Shastra in Sanskrit. What is the meaning of Bhugol? Means the what is round. So we knew the earth is round. The knowledge of Ayurveda, many people think that people experimented. It's not experimented. People went into meditation, and then there were so many rishis who went to meditation, and in meditation they could understand that these are the herbs which are very useful. Actually, what my entire purpose of this talk is to just give you a glimpse of this thing, that it is not something external, it is really internal. Even those knowledge, that's why, there's a very interesting, that there is a, there is the Saptarshi Mandal, there is one Vashishta and Arundhati, they were husband and wife. So there is one Vashishta, that one out of that Saptarshi Mandal, you will see that after marriage in the south, people are asked to look at that satellite. You know, very interestingly, when a planet is there, the satellite moves like this. But Vashishta and Arundhati, the star and the satellite, moves like this, as husband-wife moves. How can people so many years back know it? That means, how can people know about the different, you see, the astronomy. Astronomy, in astronomy, you see that the distances are actually like, suppose in a Panchang, when you say that this is predicted that this day there will be eclipse, so long back people used to calculate with so much precision. Where did they have telescopes? Did they have all the instruments, CT scan and all? But I know people who could just be with you and tell you that whether you are free from any disease or whether there are. And now we are coming up with aura energy, where you say that if you pay attention you can cure diseases, and all these things are coming up, and people are believing. This is so, so much taught in our cultures for a long time. If now I come to my point, that if this be true, then we should understand that this cannot be a sole claim of any religion of the world, as any invention cannot be a claim of any scientist alone, I mean any country alone, like similarly it is universal. So all these laws exist, and if it is accessed by someone from some religion, it can be accessed by another from another religion, but the basic understanding is same. It must be same. The law of gravitation cannot be different. But then you can ask me that why there is so much differences. Two things are very important here. First, we have to understand the nature of truth. This is also a contribution of East to the West. What's the nature of the truth? You see, uh, when we talk about truth as infinite, we have an idea of something very linear. Something has a starting point and something has an ending point. But if it is something infinite, it does not have a starting or an ending point. But imagine a circle. If it is a circle, from this point you can go there, and from that point you can come here, right? And there is no starting point, no ending point, which is a starting point of a circle. So truth is infinite means truth is circular, because only circle can be infinite. It has no beginning and no end. And if something is circular, if I can reach from top to bottom, this is true, then from bottom to truth, this way also I can reach truth. And that is why I'll tell you, all religions, we should not be seen as substitutes, but they are all complementary. Each one complementing the other. And if you take all religions together and complement, you will get an idea of the whole something as what we call truth. And if we can see these as complementary, I have understood one aspect of truth, maybe another religion is saying of some other aspect of truth, then we will have a complete understanding of the truth. And secondly, I told you two things. Secondly, what we must be very aware of is that stumbling into infinity. In the name of knowing the truth, I can give what is in my own mind. I heard about one Gurudev told me about one story is actually about a person who is a very nice, spiritual person, and he actually used to give medicines to people and tell this is in a 95% he was correct, 5% he was wrong, and he was to give with a specific food item. So Guruji, being a Siddha, told that us that you know what was that his person had a desire in his mind about that food. So whenever he used to give something, he has that vision that this food will cure him. So he said that if he would have known yoga, he would have trained himself, he would have understood himself. That I was telling you that if you travel over a plane, you can see the entire thing which is coming from outside and which is my desire and which is not my desire. Similarly, if you are in that elevated state of consciousness, you'll be able to understand the difference. And once you are able to understand the difference, then you will not, in the name of truth, all the superstitions will not come. Truth will exist as it is. So these are the two problems where truth has mingled with some superstitions, because those superstitions have been the creations of our own mind unconsciously. And that is why we talk about training ourselves, spiritual training. When you go for a spiritual training, you have a lot to do with your physical body and your mind, just because we do not aberrate truth. We can reflect truth. And once we do that, we will see that it seems like laws of physics and all. Because you see, there was no problem with the spiritual preachers. I think if all the founders of religion were together, they would not have found with them. I don't think that there was any conflict between Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Krishna, or Prophet Muhammad, or Lord Jesus, or you talk about Ramakrishna Paramahansa. They would have talked together easily, and I think they would have, all been in unison with whatever truth is. And that's why it's what Ramakrishna talked about, Joto Mot Toto Pot, right? The universality. So of all religions showing you the same way. So the basic point of my discussion is actually this thing, that now modern science is also talking about that religion, or anything, and everything, that whether you call it invention or anything, has come from one common source. And whatever it is, we know in East we call it Brahman, but we don't know it about it. So I don't know whether I did justice to the topic or not, but from my knowledge, whatever I have gained through my reading of the books, through my own spiritual exercises that I have practiced, to my own companionship with my master, spiritual master, and my long sittings with Mata Gyanananda Moyi Mata for a long time. Whatever I have understood based on that, and my reading of the recent scientific discoveries, whatever I have understood from my perspective, I have tried to explain. If anything that is beneficial, I have told you, if anything that can have a good impact of you, it I feel that it is the blessing of God and master. And if any mistake I have made intentionally or unintentionally, which might be having some negativity or something which may be unconsciously done by me, I take total responsibility and I accept it as my fault and I seek forgiveness for that. With this, I think we have come to the end of the time, I think. So I thank you, all of you, for the patient listening, and I'm really, really grateful for this invitation to talk on this topic. Thank you so much.